David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney+. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney+ every night.
Tonight, breaking news: an American F-35 stealth fighter believed hit by enemy fire. The war in Iran, and tonight's sources telling ABC News that U.S. Air Force F-35 was on a combat mission over Iran when it was hit, potentially by hostile fire. The emergency landing, the pilot's condition tonight. It comes as Iran escalates attacks targeting oil and gas facilities across the Middle East. Gas prices in the U.S. now up 97 cents a gallon. Amid the global oil shock, Israel hitting Iran, the largest gas field in the world. Tonight, President Trump now saying he didn't know Israel was going to do that. We'll go live to James Longman. Also tonight, the Pentagon now preparing to ask Congress for $200 billion more to keep funding the war in Iran. Already saying the first week cost $11 billion alone, more than $1 billion a day. Some lawmakers asking tonight if the president says this is going to end soon, why are they asking for $200 billion more from taxpayers? And the moment today, the president and Japan's prime minister. The president is asked why he didn't tell U.S. allies before attacking Iran. He jokingly brings up Pearl Harbor. The other news tonight, the alarming close call at Newark Airport, a near collision between a passenger jet and a FedEx cargo plane. The passenger jet just 150 feet off the ground, told to pull up and go around. The new images tonight, the lines growing longer at airports across the U.S. Thousands of TSA officers not getting paid, many not coming to work. Workers and passengers tonight now asking why Republicans and Democrats aren't solving this and paying the workers. The heartbreaking discovery tonight in the search for a missing American college student who disappeared on spring break. Tonight, the disturbing abuse allegations against labor rights leader Cesar Chavez, the woman who was at his side for decades, breaking her silence to John Quinones. Tonight, dramatic testimony in the trial of a doctor and husband accused of trying to kill his wife high up on a hiking trail. Prosecutors say he tried to push her, hit her in the head with a rock, and tried to inject her with a syringe. The scare for a New York State trooper tonight. Late today, reports of a shark attack off the U.S. coast. Beaches closed tonight. Harrowing moments, a mayor suffering a medical emergency during a town hall event and dying. And America strong tonight, the young hockey star from tragedy to champion, right here.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We begin tonight here with breaking news in the war in Iran. Sources telling ABC News tonight a U.S. F-35 stealth fighter on a combat mission over Iran was hit possibly by hostile fire. The stealth fighter making an emergency landing at a U.S. base. The pilot tonight reportedly in stable condition. And tonight questions about how the stealth fighter, nearly invisible to radar, could have been hit. It comes amid growing Iranian attacks targeting oil and gas fields in Israel, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Qatar. The facilities going up in smoke and flames. Iran retaliating after Israel targeted the largest gas field in the world inside Iran. President Trump tonight claiming he did not know about Israel's plan to strike the world's largest gas field. Tonight, this U.S. F-35 stealth fighter hit and what we know so far. ABC's chief international correspondent James Longman leading us off from the region again tonight.
Tonight, for the first time since the war in Iran began, a U.S. stealth fighter jet is believed to have been hit by enemy fire. Tonight, sources tell ABC News an Air Force F-35 stealth fighter was flying a combat mission over Iran when it was hit. Sources say the pilot is in a stable condition tonight after landing at a U.S. base in the region. The incident raises immediate questions about how a U.S. stealth fighter, nearly invisible to radar, could have been hit by hostile fire, potentially by the Iranians. An urgent investigation is now underway. And tonight, amid the shock over global oil prices and gas prices in the United States, Iran is intensifying its attacks on major energy facilities across this region, fueling even more uncertainty. Smoke billowing from Israel's largest oil refinery after it was hit by Iranian missile debris. In video circulating online, Saudi Arabia and Kuwait hit yet again. Iran's retaliation comes after Israel bombed its section of the world's largest gas field. Overnight, President Trump denied any knowledge of Israel's decision to strike it, but an Israeli source tells ABC News, quote, all Israeli targets in Iran are aligned with the United States. The president was pressed today if he spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu about that Israeli attack.
I told him don't do that, and he won't do that. We didn't discuss. You know, we do, we're independent, we get along great. It's coordinated, but on occasion he'll do something, and if I don't like it, and so we're not doing that anymore.
Late today, Netanyahu said Israel would stop striking Iran's oil infrastructure at President Trump's request. And just 2 days after a top U.S. intelligence official resigned, saying there was no immediate threat from Iran, today Netanyahu denied Israel pressured the U.S. into this war.
That is, that Israel somehow dragged the U.S. into a conflict with Iran. Does anyone really think that someone can tell President Trump what to do? Come on.
Tonight, the escalating attacks are rattling global oil prices. In the U.S., a gallon of gas has skyrocketed 97 cents since the president launched the war. It's now averaging $3.91 a gallon. The president today vowed to do what it takes to lower oil prices, again calling the war a, quote, excursion to stop Iran. The president suggested he thought gas prices would have been even worse.
I wanted to put out that fire. And I said, if I do that, oil prices will go up, the economy will go down a little bit. I thought it would be worse, much worse, actually. I thought there was a chance it could be much worse. It's not bad, and it's going to be over with pretty soon.
And tonight, in an effort to secure the Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. destroyed multiple Iranian Navy ships, saying they were threatening international shipping. And in another sign of this widening conflict in Lebanon tonight, the horrific moment caught on camera as an Israeli airstrike exploded just feet away from a Russia Today correspondent. RT posting this video. The journalist suffered shrapnel wounds. RT claims Israel fired on the reporter's vehicle on purpose. Israel claims it was targeting a bridge in the south used by Hezbollah.
And David, tonight there are still big questions over how Iran might have been able to hit that stealth F-35 jet, given the Pentagon says so much Iranian weaponry has been destroyed. Thankfully, the pilot tonight is in a stable condition. David.
James Longman leading us off here again tonight. James, thank you. Meantime, back here in the U.S., the Pentagon is now preparing to ask Congress for $200 billion to keep funding the war in Iran. The administration already saying the first week cost $11 billion alone, more than $1 billion a day. Some lawmakers asking tonight, if the president now says this is going to end soon, why are you asking for $200 billion more from taxpayers? And the moment today, President Trump and Japan's prime minister. The president was asked why he didn't tell U.S. allies before attacking Iran. He jokingly brought up Pearl Harbor. Here's Mary Bruce.
Tonight, the Pentagon preparing to ask Congress for an additional $200 billion to fund the war in Iran. A massive number Secretary Pete Hegseth says might not even be final.
I think that number could move, obviously. It takes money to kill bad guys.
The request comes 3 weeks into the war. The Pentagon says the first week alone cost more than $11 billion. President Trump has said it will end soon. So today, reporters asking why he needs so much more money for this fight.
The war is almost over. Why is the Pentagon going to ask Congress for an additional $200 billion?
Well, we're asking for a lot of reasons beyond even what we're talking about in Iran. This is a very volatile world.
On Capitol Hill, the $200 billion request catching many members of Congress off guard. The president launched this war without seeking their approval. Now lawmakers from both parties demanding details before they write that check.
They need to come clean with the American people before they ask for $200 billion.
The president didn't consult American allies before going to war either. Today, as Trump welcomed Japan's prime minister to the Oval Office, a Japanese reporter asking why Japan wasn't given a heads up. Trump's response shocking the prime minister as he invoked Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor.
Why didn't you tell U.S. allies in Europe and Asia, like Japan, about the war before attacking Iran? So we are very confused about we Japanese citizens.
Well, one thing, you don't want to signal too much. When we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay? Right? He's asking me, no, you believe in surprise, I think much more so than us.
The Japanese prime minister sitting there watching as the president spoke. And again, David, the president asking for that additional $200 billion. It is a huge request, and the war already costing over $11 billion in just the first week. David, that's more than $1 billion a day.
Mary Bruce tonight. Mary, thank you. Now to the other news, the alarming close call at Newark Airport, a near collision between a passenger jet and a FedEx cargo plane. That passenger jet just 150 feet off the ground when it was told to pull up and go around. Here's Whit Johnson.
Tonight, a harrowing near miss at Newark International Airport just outside New York City.
Copy 294, go around, maintain 2000.
An Alaska Airlines 737 passenger jet from Portland, Oregon, coming in for a landing, nearly colliding with a FedEx 777 cargo plane also attempting to land. The incident happening shortly after 8 p.m. on Tuesday. The Alaska jet just 150 feet off the ground, moments from touching down with passengers on board when air traffic control calmly tells the pilot to go around.
294 North Tower, runway, aircraft go around.
Going around, that's 294.
Flight radar 24 showing the two aircraft approaching intersecting runways, coming dangerously close before the Alaska jet pulls up and passes over the FedEx plane with just over 300 feet of separation.
That Alaska jet was seconds from touchdown, and by the time it went around, it was directly over the top of the FedEx airplane at only 300 feet clearance. This could have been a disaster.
And David, the FAA and NTSB are now investigating to understand why both planes were cleared to land at the same time on intersecting runways. David?
Yeah, that was alarming. Whit, thank you. Tonight, the lines growing at airports across the U.S. Thousands of TSA officers not getting paid, many not coming in. Those workers and now passengers in these lines are asking why Congress isn't finding a way to pay these workers. Here's Steve Osunsami.
The exhausting wait lines through security at America's airports are getting longer tonight. With no paycheck coming anytime soon, 38% of security workers at Houston Intercontinental and Atlanta International called out from work Wednesday. It was 33% in Philadelphia and a quarter of all TSA officers at New York's JFK. The frustration is high at Atlanta's very crowded international airport, where nearly 350,000 people are expected to pass through checkpoints over the next 4 days.
How much early are you here today?
Probably like an hour earlier.
So 3 hours total?
Yeah.
It's not every airport, but certainly many of the busiest ones. The deadlock in Washington started 34 days ago, and this week the White House and Democrats in Congress traded offers to end it. But so far, no deal. Meanwhile, TSA officers like Jill Dianovich haven't seen a paycheck since February 27th. She says she's had to call out from work because she can't afford today's higher gas prices to get her there.
I was able to financially get to work until about the end of last week is when I really started noticing that I had to ration my fuel.
People across the country are now giving gift cards to TSA workers for gas stations or donating food directly to the TSA. But what the workers tell us they really need is for Democrats and Republicans to get it together and start paying them again. David?
Steve Osunsami with us tonight. Thanks, Steve. Tonight, the tragic discovery in the search for a missing American college student who disappeared on spring break in Barcelona. A body now found 13 feet down in the water. Maggie Rulli from Barcelona.
Tonight, a heartbreaking discovery in Barcelona, 2 days after University of Alabama student James "Jimmy" Gracey disappeared after a night out. Police recovering his body from the water, 13 feet deep and just steps off the beach where he went missing. The 20-year-old from Illinois was visiting friends during their spring break. On Monday night, they went to Xoco, one of Barcelona's famous beachfront nightclubs. Gracey was last seen around 3 a.m. His family said police first found his phone nearby and later his wallet floating in the sea. Police scoured this neighborhood. His friends put up posters and held on to hope.
Jimmy is loved by so many. He's the guy that's always there when someone needs it, and we're heartbroken.
Gracey's father flying to Barcelona just hours before he was found. And tonight, the family is asking for privacy, saying, "We are so grateful for the kindness and concern that has been shown for our family during this incredibly difficult time."
And David, tonight, Spanish police say they're still investigating the exact cause of Jimmy Gracey's death. David.
Maggie Rulli from Spain tonight. Thank you, Maggie. Now to the disturbing abuse allegations against labor rights leader Cesar Chavez, the woman who was at his side for decades, breaking her silence tonight. To John Quinones.
Tonight, after more than 60 years, Dolores Huerta, who fought alongside Cesar Chavez and co-founded the United Farm Workers, is breaking her silence about his alleged sexual abuse.
If you could talk to Cesar Chavez right now, what would you say to him?
How could you? How could you?
It touches you even now.
Yes, sir.
At almost 96, Huerta sharing a painful secret about the man millions considered a hero.
It pains me to have to ask you this, but did Cesar Chavez rape you?
When you are forced into a situation of unwanted sex or whatever, that I think you could, you could consider it rape.
Huerta was in her 30s. She says she decided to reveal her own abuse after she learned two women she knew from the farm workers movement told the New York Times they were groomed and sexually abused by Chavez as children. Tonight, many are covering up murals honoring Chavez and struggling to square Cesar Chavez the hero with Cesar Chavez the alleged sexual predator.
What is your message to the community who believed in him and now feel left down?
I think we have to remember the good that he did. I don't know about the terrible things that he did. I think we leave that up in God's hands. He was a great leader, but unfortunately, he had an evil side to him.
Evil?
Yes. Yeah, it is evil.
Chavez died in 1993. I asked Huerta why she didn't speak up sooner about the alleged abuse. She says she was afraid it might affect all the good work that she and Chavez have done for farm workers. David?
John Quinones back with us tonight. John, thanks. When we come back here, there's been a shark attack. Beach is closed tonight. Also, a doctor and husband accused of trying to kill his wife high up on a hiking trail. Prosecutors say he tried to push her, hit her in the head with a rock, and tried to inject her with a syringe. More in a moment. The scare tonight for a New York State trooper, what we've learned. And later here, the young American hockey star, what he has done again. You're not going to believe this. We'll be right back tonight. Tonight, the trial of the doctor accused of trying to kill his wife while on a hike outside Honolulu. Prosecutors say Gerhard Koenig tried pushing his wife off the steep trail, hit her in the head with a rock, and tried to inject her with a syringe. She survived. A witness calling 911.
Someone's currently being attacked on the top of Polytuca. Where? There's a man trying to kill her. She has blood all over her face. We heard her screaming, help, help, help me, and then we saw a man over her.
The defense claiming his wife started the altercation. The close call tonight, a New York State trooper hit in a chain reaction crash during a traffic stop in Mamaroneck. An SUV slamming into the back of his patrol car, right into the car he had pulled over, which then hit him. The trooper not badly hurt, just incredible. When we come back tonight, a mayor suffers a medical emergency minutes into a town hall and dies. And reports tonight of a shark attack coming in, several beaches closed in a moment. To the index of other news, the mayor of Nampa, Idaho, suffering a medical emergency while speaking at a town hall. Mayor Rick Hogeboom had only been in office since January. He was just 47 years old. No word on a cause of death tonight. Reports of a shark attack closing several beaches in Northern California. It happened at Mendocino Headland State Park. Authorities say a surfer suffered injuries to both legs and was rushed to a local hospital there. When we come back tonight, you're going to want to see this. What a young American hockey star has done again. The whole place erupted.
ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, sponsored by Progressive.
Finally tonight, from tragedy to champion. Tonight in Providence, Rhode Island, the high school hockey player and his triumph after unimaginable tragedy. Blackstone Valley School senior Colin Dorgan, number 17. Just over a month ago, Colin's mother, his brother, and grandfather were all killed at his hockey game, targeted by his own father, police say. His team, his community rallying behind Colin. And we showed you this incredible moment just last week. Colin scoring the game-winning goal in their state semifinals in double overtime. Sending his team to the finals. And overnight, incredibly, Colin did it again. The game-tying goal with just 30 seconds to go. His entire school, that community behind the glass on their feet, cheering for him. Paving the way for their championship win in quadruple overtime.
State champion!
Colin celebrating the astonishing win with his team, his school, and thinking of the family members he lost. His entire team wearing the initials of his loved ones as they celebrated their victory.
Right here, right on my chest, and on my shoulders. I think they're with me every step of the way, and I truly felt it in my heart and my soul that they're still with me. And I think that I love them so much, and they're still here, and I know it.
Colin's just incredible, isn't he? I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Good night.
David Muir, the most trusted anchor in America, the most watched anchor in America. Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir the #1 newscast in America.